love everybody that participates in this. I love everybody that is a part of We Are Libertarians. But I am the boss. I am the dictator of this here outfit, and I will fire you. Everyone will be let go. What are you doing?
Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Are you launching secret codes from? He took his wallet out.
He's organizing his wallet.
He's organizing his wallet. That is a great way to put it. He is daintily organizing his wallet, and he was doing it quietly, as if not to make a sound with his leather wallet. See, this is why we have to have a conversation, audience. So, dear leader, and it started when I was with the Libertarian Party of Indiana. I was the executive director. Harry's password for Discord is 803. So I was introduced by one city councilor to another city councilor as the he's the president of all libertarians. And so the running joke kind of started in 2009 that I was the president. And then once the podcast started and I started being bossy to everyone, it escalated to dear leader. And the memes over the years and the conversation has gotten to a point that is just ridiculous. And quite frankly, I sometimes worry about getting struck by lightning because it makes even my egotistical self uncomfortable. But Hody took the cake this week, and I'll explain why in a moment. But back.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,305. Silver at $15.29, and Bitcoin is trading around $5,225. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news. Just hours after President Trump formally designated Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps as a terrorist organization, Iran's foreign ministry has put forward a bill placing U.S. Central Command on a list of organizations designated as terrorists. Activist Post reports the Iranian foreign ministry responded to the designation Monday, recommending that President Hassan Rouhani designate U.S. Central Command, a U.S. military theater-level command whose area of responsibility includes the Middle East, on the list of organizations designated as terrorists by Iran. Previously, the Iranian foreign minister noted that those U.S. officials who advocated IRGC blacklisting seek to drag the U.S. into a quagmire. Iranian officials previously warned that the IRGC's inclusion on the U.S. terror list would be a mistake, which would prompt Iran to acquaint the U.S. military with Daesh or ISIS. A bill introduced in the Texas Senate would prohibit vaccines from being administered unless certain safety criteria are met. The Free Thought Project reports passage of the bill would significantly strengthen vaccine safety testing requirements and push back against any future federal vaccine mandates. Republican Senator Bob Hall introduced the Senate bill March 8th. The legislation would only permit a healthcare provider to administer a vaccine if certain criteria are met. After recent comments by former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb in February of 2019, just prior to his resignation, some believe that federal vaccine mandates are imminent. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% on your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. The Arab League on Monday called for a decisive international response to the recent statements made by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on annexing the occupied Palestinian West Bank. The anti-media reports the League's Assistant Secretary General of the occupied Palestinian and Arab lands said Netanyahu's remarks would lead to dangerous repercussions, adding that the international response must be derived from international law. Abu Ali urged the international community to immediately announce its stance on the Israeli remarks. He also demanded the International Criminal Court open an immediate official investigation into what he described as the ongoing settlement crimes in the Palestinian territories. On Saturday, Netanyahu told the Israeli Channel 12 that he would annex Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank if he wins another term in office, a move that had enraged the Arab and international governments. A former officer with the LAPD pleaded guilty Friday to raping a 13-year-old girl. The girl was the daughter of his good friend, a fellow cop. The Free Thought Project reports 52-year-old Kenneth Collard pleaded guilty to 2 counts of a lewd act upon a child in the April 4, 2018 attack, during which he was still employed as a police officer. He is expected to be sentenced to 5 years behind bars. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A majority of Americans are pointing to Friday's tragedy as a clear call for major reforms in everything, or literally anything at all that might prevent acts of horrifying, senseless violence. According to a recent ONN poll, the nation is united in saying that the key to preventing future tragedies is a drastic change in gun control, mental health care, school security, media coverage, violent entertainment, the fragility of the human condition, and really so many other things we probably haven't even thought of yet. Jesus. The Randolph Center for Public Health and Safety also released a statement saying, quote, "If you look at statistics regarding gun violence in the United States, you'll see the recent shooting is a clear cry for any thing at all to please be different." In Washington, lawmakers have reached a bipartisan agreement that the U.S. desperately needs tighter firearm restrictions or looser firearm restrictions, or honestly, whatever option just makes these things stop, do that one.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to the Call to... God, it's going to be one of those days. Welcome to the Call to Freedom. It is April the 10th. I think it's a Wednesday.
It's
2019.
Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday. Yeah, that sucks because that means I have to work tonight. I'm, of course, your host, Arya Demesso of theanarchistshemale.com, and I am just totally tired. So tired that my eyes actually hurt. It's very uncomfortable.
Your eyes are not as open as they normally are.
No, and
like
I don't
half
know.
Shut.
Yeah, and I don't know why, because it's not like I didn't sleep a lot. I guess I didn't because I was up kind of late, and then I woke up at the usual time between 11 and noon-ish.
Oops.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's how it goes. Got a monster here. I'm hoping that will help me wake up.
You know, getting to bed before sunrise probably would help, too.
Yeah, but then that's not as much fun.
Yeah, but you pay for it the next day, you know.
You do, but I only have to be out until about 2 in the morning, so, I mean, that's a light day for me. It's still ultimately like a 12-hour day or an 11-hour day for me, but this is one of my lightest days. Actually, Mondays and Tuesdays were my lightest days, and I was thinking about that earlier. Taking up Arya Uncensored on Tuesday evenings means that both of my days off are going to have about 6 hours of radio every single week, because it looks like, and it's not been officially said yet, but it looks like I will be, because Melanie may be moving to Wednesdays, things like that, but it looks like I may be joining Free Talk Live regularly on Mondays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, I guess I enjoy doing it, but I mean, that's 6 solid hours of work. And then Tuesday, it's Call to Freedom, a 3-hour gap where there's Free Talk Live, and then come back to do Aria Uncensored. So 5 hours of radio. So 5 hours of work will be my lightest day on any given week. So don't be surprised when I miss episodes of Aria Uncensored, probably once a month, you know.
If it happens, it happens.
Yeah, because of good God, that is a lot of time being devoted just to stuff, right? And today, of course, I took the conversation that was had yesterday about the nuances of having sex with dogs. And
you clipped it.
Cut that out. And of course, that took about an hour to fully do. And so I'm just usually doing stuff like that if I'm not here at the studio or if I'm not at work at my other job. So eventually something's going to have to give. But for now, I'm young and I'm capable of doing this without... I'm running myself into the ground, sure, but I'm young, so there's plenty of me left to run into the ground. But you brought in we wanted to get into it yesterday before we got onto dog sex. But Backpage, Chris found there's a new one.
Yes, there is.
But there's not just a new one. There's like 50 new ones.
Oh yeah, you shut something like that down, and the same thing happened with the Silk Road. I mean, you shut that down, and 16 others popped up. So
I assumed, based on what he said, that I could search for new Backpage or something like that and find the news article that he was talking about. I didn't. I found several, probably the most obvious of which is bedpage.com, who I'm going to reach out to try to have them on our show because I think prostitution should be legal.
Oh, yes, it should.
And I think pages like Backpage and Bedpage and Craigslist, when they had it, lowered the rates of human trafficking in sex work and made sex work generally safer.
Yes, they do.
Sort of like how you don't have a lot of human trafficking in Nevada, and you don't have a lot of STD-ridden, heroin-addicted prostitutes in Nevada because, you know, it's all above the board. The pimp out there on the streets of Compton doesn't care if the prostitute has chlamydia or HIV or whatever. Doesn't care at all. The business that is operating a legitimate business certainly cares. So that's really not a news item. It was just something I wanted to go over because it's a topic that I find fascinating, and I don't want to say I'm passionate about it because I'm not. But
well, it is interesting.
It is interesting, and I think a lot of good would come about as a result of legalizing prostitution, but I don't think it's likely to happen. I mean, but really, it's so obviously a remnant of Puritanism and Puritan culture that I'm kind of surprised it's still illegal anywhere.
I know, right? We've left most of that behind, it seems. Or we're starting to.
Because you can either have the government involved in people's bedrooms, or you can get it out of people's bedrooms. And if you're going to get the government out of people's bedrooms, then you have to stop monitoring their reasons for having sex. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. And realistically, you know, it's true. If you have sex with a woman, or if you have sex with anybody, one way or another, you paid.
Yeah, true.
If you take them out on dates and things like that, you're paying. You're not paying the girl, but you are paying.
You are paying. Well, kind of. I mean, if you buy her dinner, that's payment of a sort.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it doesn't go directly to her. I guess the food does.
The food goes directly to her. The enjoyment of the movie that you go to does.
And of course, they covered this on the Boondocks, and it's such an obvious point that people don't like talking about it. But even Huey, who is generally the sane man in the show, was just unable to dispute what Riley was saying about it because it's true. But we demonize it when actual cash changes hands for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get that. Why is one okay and the other is not?
I don't have any idea. I'm not a Puritan, and most people aren't Puritans. So that we still have these laws in effect illegalizing prostitution is just absolutely bizarre. But you brought in a story about children and teens in the U.S. visiting emergency rooms for suicidal thoughts.
Oh, yes.
And suicide attempts. Apparently, that number has doubled between 2007 and 2015. What do they considered to be the cutoff point between children and teens? Because I can't imagine very many, like 8-year-olds going to the ER for suicidal tendencies.
That's a good question.
If so, that's a total dropping of the ball by the parents.
It looks like I'm just skimming through here to try to figure that out. I think it looks like they're cut off maybe high school.
Well, apparently, good Lord. Researchers used publicly available data, blah, blah, blah. From the 300 emergency rooms sampled, the researchers tracked the number of children between 5 and 18 who received the diagnosis of suicidal ideation or suicide attempts each year. So that means children as young as 5 years old have made suicide attempts or experienced suicidal ideation.
Right. That's amazing. It
What are you
boggles the mind.
Yeah, what are you doing to your 5-year-old children that is making them so jaded and hopeless that they are suicidal?
You are a horrible parent.
I can understand teenagers, right? Because they're all angsty and hormonal and all of that, and everything is just the total end of the world. But 5-year-olds?
5-year-olds, yeah, 5, 6, 7. How are 5-year-olds becoming suicidal?
I don't think it's going to.
What have you people done to them?
Diagnoses of either condition increased from 580,000 in 2007 to 1.12 million in 2015, according to the study. The average age of a child at the time of evaluation was 13, and 43% of the visits were in children between 5 and 11 years old.
That's scary. That's almost half.
It is almost half. Almost half of the people who went to the ER for suicidal attempts.
Half of the people under 18.
Or suicidal thoughts were, half of the people under 18. Half of 1.12 million were between the ages of 5 and 11 years old.
This is insane. Something has gone so terribly wrong in this country, the way people are raising their kids. I can't think of anything else.
I've got to imagine that it's probably not the case that 5-year-olds and 11-year-olds are actually experiencing any sort of suicidal ideation or suicide attempts. Because I was going through a lot of crap with my mother being beaten and murdered and things like that around those ages, and I was never suicidal. I can't imagine a lot that the average 7-year-old is going through that, compares to that kind of thing. But we'll get back into more of this discussion, so don't go anywhere. This is The Call to Freedom.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, and as always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160, or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And we've been talking about this study, or this studying of the data from various institutions of pediatrics and things like that, where they, looked at the data from emergency rooms and discovered that 43% of the visits from people under 18 years old who went to the ER for suicidal ideation or suicide attempts were between the ages of 5 and 19 and 11 years old.
How do kids between 5 and 11 become suicidal? What are people doing to their kids to cause them to? I just don't get it.
Well, the numbers are very alarming, said Dr. Brett Burstein, the lead study author and a pediatric. I don't care about his credentials.
Yes, they are alarming.
It also represents a larger percentage of all pediatric emergency department visits, where suicidal behavior among the pediatric population was just 2% of all visits. That's now up to 3.5%. But again, I imagine it's going to be far more like a 6-year-old saying, I want to kill myself or whatever because they died in a level in a video game, and the parents freaking out and rushing them to the hospital to be diagnosed with suicidal ideation. Or happening in school with something like, because my nephew says that. And he's like in the 3rd grade, he's pretty regularly says, I want to kill myself in response to things that go wrong in video games, because that's what he hears people doing on YouTube.
Yeah, that's not really suicidal ideation, and you'd think a doctor would be able to figure out the difference between that sort of thing.
I don't think they really care, because once they do this, they can start prescribing you all of these fun little antidepressants and Ritalin and things like that they get paid to prescribe to people. So I think it probably suits their interest to freak out and overreact to these sorts of things. Because I honestly can't imagine very many 6-year-olds who genuinely want to kill themselves or have given any thought whatsoever to taking their own lives.
Yeah, it's really messing with my head here.
We know that suicide and depression have been rising significantly, said Dr. Jean Barrison, blah, 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 more. Good God, this entire paragraph is dedicated to their credentials rather than anything else they have to say. Depression and a prior suicide attempt are the two biggest risk factors for suicide. And with rates of suicide on the rise, it makes sense for risk factors to increase as well. Well, okay. Suicide rates may or may not be on the rise. I don't know. I don't particularly care. I think that if somebody wants to kill themselves, then they should be allowed to.
Right.
But suicide is illegal here in the United States, and you will find yourself in jail for attempting it.
Yeah, so if you do attempt it, make sure you actually succeed, right?
Well, I didn't succeed, and I was taken to the ER, bleeding out from my wrists. And I was not actually charged. Instead, I was hospitalized. But even then, it was very easy to get out. And it's an amazing thing because I went to the ER for attempting to kill myself. And less than 12 hours later, I was walking out of the behavioral hospital a free person. And it was because the psychologists were really, really easy to manipulate.
Really?
Yeah, all they wanted to do was put me into one of 3 or 4 different molds. So I put myself into one of those molds, told them what they wanted to hear, said, oh, I was just doing it for attention, whatever. I don't remember exactly what I said.
Right.
And they were like, okay, well, you're free to go.
Yeah, bye.
Even though I was there against my will, right? 12 hours later, I was... We are taking calls, Wikawia. I assume you have some thoughts on the subject of suicidal children. Is that correct? There's a lot of background noise. Can you turn us down?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, am I on right now?
You are on, yes.
Oh, hey, what's up? I didn't say anything about suicidal thoughts. Did I?
No, but that's what we've been discussing. So what?
Oh.
Okay, so what did you call in to discuss?
Oh, I don't know. I just wanted to say hello.
Okay, well, thanks for the call. I appreciate that.
Okay.
We're going to get back to this discussion that was really weird for Wikawia.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Well, he's Muslim, as I understand it, from the UK, so he's not drunk. But that would be my first guess if anyone else did that. That was really bizarre. One reason for the increase in depression and suicidal behaviors may be more stress and pressure on kids, Beresin said. Kids are feeling more pressure to achieve, more pressure in school, and are more worried about making a living than in previous years. Now, there is no way that 5-year-olds are worried about making a living.
No, but they might be worried about school.
They might be worried about school, yeah, because schools are screwed up. And I mean, they were screwed up when I went to school. But seeing how my nephew is treated in his elementary school, it's a stark contrast to how I was treated in elementary school. He's treated as though he is a robot and he should fit into these various molds, and no amount of individualist expression is permitted.
Yeah, it's a school. They want everyone to be exactly the same so they can control them and cogs in a wheel, you know.
But like when he was in the first grade, they were making him 100% responsible for keeping up with his own homework assignments and things like that.
Homework in the first grade? What has happened? We didn't have homework in the first grade.
We did. Homework started in kindergarten for us.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, we weren't responsible for it. You know, our parents were responsible for ensuring that our homework got done.
Right.
Here, if the parent says, oh, well, I make sure they get their homework done and all of that, they're going to be chastised by the teacher. And it's really screwed up. But parents and caregivers are also more stressed, adding that the rates of suicide have increased in all age groups over the past 20 years and that the stress is passed down to children and teens. I don't know how much I believe that to be true either because, again, my nephew is one of the happiest kids I've ever met. right?
Are his parents messed up?
They are extremely messed up.
Are they under a lot of stress, but it's not affecting him?
It doesn't seem to be. Approximately 15% of U.S. high school students report that they've been bullied online in the past year. A Pew Research Center survey found that number could be even higher at 59%. I don't believe
15% to 59%. That's so wide a divergence there that neither of those numbers is really believable.
They say that cyberbullying can be especially difficult for kids. And I would agree, because cyberbullying can be pretty intense.
Oh, yeah.
Having gone through it on a number of occasions, but you can unplug from it. And I think the disconnect here is that kids feel like they can't or they shouldn't unplug from it. This is the call to freedom.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Hey, I'm LRN.FM Program Director Ian Freeman. If you're listening to our free-to-air satellite feed in North or Central America, heads up! We've been on the Galaxy 19 satellite since 2010, but now our satellite provider is moving LRN.FM to a new channel on a different transponder. The current channel will stay on the air until the end of May to give you time to transition without any loss of service, so don't delay. I've posted the new channel details at sat.lrn.fm, but in case you're listening with no internet access, if you do a blind scan on your receiver, you should see the new channel at transponder 6, 11.8425 GHz, horizontal polarization, symbol rate 22,000, FEC 3/4. All that information is at sat.lrn.fm, as well as a link to our Patreon, where you can support our channels for just $2 a month. Visit sat.lrn.fm for more information about our international satellite channels, and thanks for listening to LRN.fm.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom and the Rational Review News Digest, located at rationalreview.com. It's the Freedom Movement's daily news digest, aggregating stories from all over the internet that are of interest to libertarians and to liberty-minded people. They include podcasts, videos, blogs, and news articles, and are now a source for people to receive the Call to Freedom's podcasts. So be sure to check them out at rationalreview.com to stay up to date on all the happenings in the wider world. And we've been discussing here the suicide rates, or the suicide attempt rates, or the suicidal ideation rates. There should really just be sort of one catch-all term for that.
Yeah, we'll make up a word.
Among people 5 to 11 years old, according to this survey.
Yeah, it's crazy how you wouldn't think that little kids that young would kill themselves or try to, or even think about it, but apparently a few do.
Well, I certainly see the concern with cyberbullying and things like that, because a lot of the people under 18, ages generally 12 through 16, kill themselves as a result of bullying. It seems to really happen with females. A lot of them do end up killing themselves. Usually drinking bleach seems to be their preferred method for some unholy reason.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you would do that. That's not very effective, and it's very painful.
Oh, no, it's extremely effective. The issue is that it's one of the most painful ways to die. Like, a lot of the people who attempt suicide with this method, they end up throwing themselves out of 6-story windows and things like that, like crashing through the windows just to end the pain. So it's definitely an effective way to kill yourself, but it is one of the most agonizing ways to do it, evidently. I mean, I can't imagine how painful that is.
Yeah,
but you're pouring acid down your own throat for the most part. It's nuts.
Doesn't react very well with the body.
No. But cyberbullying, they point to as a problem, but unlike in school settings, it can fly under the radar without anyone knowing it's happening and without the same repercussions for the bullies. In fact, there's generally no repercussions for the bullies online. They just sort of move on to another target.
Right.
And that's the end of it. Like the idiot there who just called in to tell me that I look like an N-word. What a pointless... Of course, that's not...
During the break.
Yeah. Obviously, the idiot thought we were just going to let some random caller on the air. We did that with Wikiwea because we know Wikiwea. We don't do that with the average call that comes in. But, when it's sort of systemic like that, when you're just being insulted constantly, it is cyberbullying. And not everyone has the fortitude to just deal with that with a laugh. A lot of people get butthurt, like Christopher Cantwell, and storm away and go cry themselves to sleep or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people never learn how to deal with it.
No, but I think, I don't want to say that I think being bullied to some extent teaches them how to deal with that, because that's a messed up thing to say.
Well, yeah,
But how could they learn to deal with that without being victims of that?
That's a good question. I
would certainly agree that, internal strength, internal emotional strength, and all of that, it's certainly a good thing. But those are also forged in the fires of suffering. And I don't know whether or not I really want to take the position that a 10-year-old kid should have suffered at some point in order to build up that level. I don't know if bleach is an acid or a base. I don't really care. That's not the point.
Yeah, the point is that it will dissolve your insides from the inside out and cause you extreme pain like you've never felt before in your life, and never will again, because it will kill you.
yeah, it's definitely not a method that people would recommend. What surprises me is that people go through with suicide attempts without doing any research whatsoever into the topic.
Right. Why do people just, I don't know, are they just going on rumors without actually trying to Google it first?
I think a lot of the times they're going on rumors, yeah.
I mean, if you actually want to commit suicide, you can just Google it and find several effective methods that don't cause you a whole lot of pain.
Well, there's one in particular, and I'm not going to talk about it here on the air, that causes no pain whatsoever, and it's 100% effective. I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to talk about it on the air because it's something that anyone can do with like $40.
Mm.
You don't need a special license or anything. But any amount of research, genuine research into the topic will lead people to that. They just don't seem to... It seems like that would be the difference between someone who is genuinely considering killing themselves and someone who is reaching out for attention. But we're joined once again by Wikawia, who said he has comments he would like to make on the subject of suicide and suicidal ideation. So what are your thoughts on the subject, Wikawia? There's a lot of background noise. Can you move away from that?
Is this okay?
It is when you're not speaking. I assume there's a noise gate or something like that involved here. But yeah, there is a lot of background noise.
I'm in a slightly noisy room. That's all it is. But I'm not using the audio stream on loudspeaker or anything. I'm using earphones.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts on the subject of suicide?
Well, I mean, like you were talking a while ago about like people doing it at a really young age, and I just think that's like I think there are a lot of things that people think are a really, really, really big deal.
LRN.FM.
Like, and then like shortly afterwards they realize it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, when you're feeling an emotion like that, it's certainly, it feels intense. But a lot of times just sleeping on it, just going to sleep and waking up the next day will decrease in the power of those emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I remember when we were at high school and we had high school exams at 16, I thought if I failed them it would be life over. And literally a year, not even a year, like a few months after them, I just couldn't have possibly cared less anymore. And also when I was like 17, I thought something, because you know how you mentioned a lot of it is to do with cyberbullying, and because it's so public, and I think because there's a lot of humiliation involved, like when I was about 17, I thought something that I wrote down was like something that I at the time thought was really, really embarrassing was going to be revealed, and I was totally like, I thought my life was over, and literally a few years later I look back on it and just laugh about it. But with regard to the cyberbullying stuff, in some countries, European countries, they've got this, right to be forgotten. Like you can insist that social media companies and stuff delete the stuff that's online about you, and I think maybe that would help.
Yeah, I don't... Thanks for the call, Wikawia. That's certainly something I want to get into because I'm not a fan of the right to be forgotten, so to speak, because what that essentially suggests, right, is that a person has the right to control what other people know about them after that information is already made available. And of course, you don't have that right. People know that I'm into guys. To say that I have the right to make people forget that, or any other detail, or just even the fact that I exist, is to suggest that I have the right to go into their heads and cut out this particular bit of information that I don't want them to have anymore.
Yeah, it's insane. So what they're doing in the EU is that if you say you've been convicted of a crime and you did your sentence in prison and you get out, and you can then go to Google and say, take this off the search engine. I don't want people to know about this anymore.
Well, as I understand it, it's far more encompassing than that, where you don't have to have been in prison for a crime or anything like that. You can just say, hey, I don't want this information to be available any longer. And places like Google and Facebook and YouTube are required by European law to take it down. As silly as that is, they seem to be required, and that's why the European Union is accused of having its own sort of great firewall. because all of that information, it's still available. We still have it here in the United States. It's only being blocked in your countries.
Oh, yeah. VPN.
You're not forgotten. You just have restricted access to the information. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of this discussion about suicide and what people are doing to kids.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
When 16-year-old Jeffrey Patterson died in a car accident in February, he didn't just leave behind grieving friends and family, he also left a significant web presence. In a tribute to their son, Jeff's parents have continued to update their son's blogs and social media sites, including a blog called Shitbirds Everywhere.
Well, Jeff used his blog to make fun of stupid shitbirds. Yeah. And now that we're doing this, it's like part of him is still alive.
Yeah, and then when I post a picture of some shitbird who has a stupid ankle tattoo or wears some retarded hat, I feel like somewhere he's smiling.
He hated retarded hats so much.
Whenever we get a comment calling Jeff a dumb fag for making fun of a handicapped person on a rascal scooter, well, it's like he's still here. Jeff would have gotten such a kick out of that fat shitbird. He really would have.
This is the Onion News Network.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm. Oh,
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And maybe you want to have sex with prostitutes and then arrest them. Or bust people for drugs and then sell the drugs on the side for a little bonus. If you've ever wanted to enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork, then you should try the Thin Blue Line game, which can be found at thinbluelinegame.com. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to shoot someone over a broken taillight and then escape accountability with the magical phrase, "I feared for my life." You know, typical cop stuff. Get it now at thinbluelinegame.com. Assault and battery is not included, but for a limited time, you can order your copies and use the coupon code CTF to have all shipping costs waived. So go get it. That's thinbluelinegame.com. And we've been talking about bullying, cyberbullying, and this alarming data from various institutions showing that 43-ish, I don't remember the exact number, but
about 43%.
43% of children or people under 18 who have gone to the ER for suicidal ideation or suicide attempts were between the ages of 5 and 11. Yeah. And we're just stunned by that because neither of us can fathom anything that is going on in the world of your average 5-year-old that would make them suicidal.
What has happened to American families? I don't get it.
See, that's not a question that I even care for. I don't care what's happened to American families, you know, because that's a right-wing kind of question. That's a conservative question. Our traditional families are under attack, and that's why children are being suicidal, because Jim has 2 daddies, so he's suicidal for that reason or whatever, you know?
Not what I was getting at.
No, I know you well enough to know that's not what you were getting at, but the question has so many connotations of that type of mentality that, to me, I'm not concerned with the family aspect of it, because I don't think family is even necessary to the process. I'm more concerned with society as a whole and what we're doing that is making people so sick.
Let me try that again. What are people who are raising kids doing to their kids to cause them to think about suicide?
Yeah, and I don't know. I can't imagine. According to data from the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the majority of the United States faces a severe shortage of practicing child and adolescent psychiatrists, with fewer than 17 providers available per 100,000 children. So you know what the solution would be? Let's ration it out, right?
Right.
Let's implement this policy that will add a lot of new customers without adding a single new provider. This means many families face long wait times, which can lead to the worsening of a child's underlying mental health condition and an eventual need for more treatment sessions than if the condition had been addressed in its early stages. They have CNN has a weird enjoyment for writing out people's qualifications at length, because the second half of that paragraph is just that. And that's not the first time within this article they did it. Like, dude, I don't care. End your sentence after explain Jennifer Maltone, a psychologist. Okay, done. Move on.
Yeah, well, you kind of do have to say where they work. And where they work is 3/4 of that half of the paragraph.
True. The available qualified providers face another challenge: communicating with other systems caring for children. So they're not going to actually...
Whoa, wait. Systems caring for children? Are we having the village idiots take care of our kids now?
Well, I mean, we know we are, because that's what the school system is. And I bother a lot of people by daring to point that out. But the truth of the matter is that when you turn your children over to the state to be educated, they are raising your children for you.
Yep.
They're not just teaching them the raw scientific facts. They're not just teaching them how to read, mathematics, and all of that. They're teaching them how to be productive members of society, how to walk on the right side of the hallway, how to look before you burst through a door, how to treat other people with decency and things like that. And a lot of these are good, yes. But there is also an increasingly dominant trend toward leftism, and that is also being raised. Your kids are also being raised underneath that ideology. So that is certainly one of the systems in place, and we are, well, not we, because I don't have kids by choice, but they are turning children over to the village idiots and go, here, I can't be bothered. Will you raise my kid for me?
That's about what's going on.
It is. And when you suggest to them that they should raise their own kids and not enlist them in public schools for other people to raise them. They go, well, I don't have time. Why in the hell did you have children if you don't have the time to raise them? You irresponsible, idiotic piece of garbage.
Oh, my.
And I say that to every single parent out there who has the audacity to say with a straight face that they don't have the time to properly raise their children.
Well, you know, families, that two-parent families have to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet. And they literally, and then pay for the child care, which the price of that's gone through the roof.
No, they still have time. The average person isn't working 12 hours days like I do, and I still have time if I really wanted to raise a child.
Well, where would your child be while you were at work?
Well, I would be raising that child to not drink bleach and things like that while I wasn't home. So they would be at home playing video games and watching television or something.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't leave a 3-year-old there at home.
Well, the 3-year-old's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, most, I could have the person with whom I had this child could have a different work schedule than I do. Maybe they work during the day where I work mostly at night, you know? So they could be at home with the child. And while they're at work, I would be at home with the child. And between the two of us, we could do a fair bit of raising of that child. Obviously, there would be some other person involved in this equation in the first place, since it takes 2 people to have a child.
Yes, that it does.
So we are assuming that this other person is somewhat involved, because I also would not have a child unless I was 100% certain that this person and I were going to be together long enough to actually finish the task of raising this child, which is yet another reason that I have chosen to remain childless. I don't want to be with somebody for that long. There might be a few people out there who could just keep my interest for that length of time. But for the most part, dude, I'm going to get bored 7 years into that relationship. I'm telling you right now, if we get married, we're going to divorce 7 years later. And that's why I'm not getting married. Because I know myself. I get bored very, very easily. That's why I do so many different things to occupy my time. But, you know, the cyberbullying in particular is an issue for kids. And when you factor in things like adults engaging in it, which a lot of adults have gone at least to jail for encouraging other kids to cyberbully kids, it becomes really problematic, because it's true, the average child does not have the fortitude and constitutional strength to deal with those sorts of targeted attacks on them. And that's tragic. I'm not sure there's really anything a parent can do that would provide their child with that inner strength. That's something that just has to be sort of forged there for themselves.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that.
But the psychologists are worried that, you know, we're seeing an acceleration of the rate of suicidal ideation among people ages 5 to 11, and that we have not yet seen the peak. So they are concerned it could be worse. I mean, obviously, it could always be worse.
Yeah, it could get worse.
I'm not sure how much pressure your average child is really under. But if your school is putting your child under so much pressure that suicide happens to be the way that they choose to deal with it, you're a failure as a parent. And I would again ask you why you don't have the time to raise that child yourself. Because the people who are raising your child are making your child suicidal. And if you're such a bad parent that you're going to let your child continue in that environment, despite being made suicidal from the people that are raising him or her, then you suck as a parent. And I'm not going to say your kids should be taken away from you, because that's force and aggression and things like that. But if your kid wants to leave, I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
Screw that. Screw you, mom. Screw you, dad. You suck at this. I'm going home. Figure of speech. Going elsewhere, at least.
Going somewhere else.
Yeah. And of course, you know, I've been accused. I meant to mention this a moment ago, but as I said earlier, I believe that a person does have the right to take their own life if they choose to. And somebody asked me, well, what about gay people? Because a lot of gay people are suicidal. So are a lot of trans people. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think these characteristics impact the fact that they have the right to kill themselves. And he said, well, that's homophobic. So I'm homophobic because I think that the life of a gay person belongs to the life of that gay person.
That isn't even sensible.
No, it's certainly not. But that's the kind of warped thinking that goes on in people's heads when it comes to the subject of suicide and whether or not someone can take their own lives. This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to move on. Don't go anywhere.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime.